And happy Monday. Welcome to another episode of Crypto with English. I think for many people who are tuning in, often when we have guests come on, a lot of this, pertains to storytelling. And I think this is some of the best ways to communicate greater themes in society of what's going on and greater trends in the world as far as, tech and business. And one of the things that we are seeing nowadays, perhaps more so than ever, is the really rampant and very, you could say, high-powered emergence of various women leaders across various industries across the world. And I think we can all say a lot of the technology and a lot of the platforms that have emerged from Web3 have been making that far easier. I think history is yet to be written, and I think many of the leaders, especially women leaders coming out of various industries such as tech, finance, and so on, are yet to be seen. History is being written before our eyes right now. So I'd like to warmly introduce to you all a very talented, a very dynamic entrepreneur based out of Singapore, Charu Mehrotra. So she is the founder of an online women's magazine called Womenlines.com. And today we're going to deep dive, into her background, into her project, and really you could say the great service she is doing for many women leaders, across the world as far as, visibility, branding, and also, enhancing, further, visibility on what's going on and where all these various women leaders are emerging from. Sharu, thank you very much for coming on to the show today.
Thank you so much, Adam, for inviting me, and hello to the lovely audience there.
Thank you very much. If you tell everybody about, Women Lines, how you got started, what was the inspiration and the origin story, perhaps, behind this?
My pleasure. I always love to share this because this is such a close, passionate venture I'm running. So, Women Lines is an online magazine promoting business, health, and leadership excellence in women across the globe. Today, we are standing on the position number 44 out of top 60 women's online magazines to be followed in 2022. And this is the fourth year I'm running. So the story is like that. From beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, somehow I was very close to subjects and topics related to women. My background is from mass communications. I've done mass communications from India, and I always had that journalistic attitude, aptitude, and curiosity around why things happen and how it impacts others. In fact, if I just think about my past, I remember I always wondered about wonderful women around my family, like how much talented they are, but there is no space to talk about their talent. There's no space to show their talents and to connect the dots. Now it's 15th year in Singapore, and I'm running this, like this is my fourth venture. I have run three ventures before, and all connect. My first venture was clothing business, second was events company, third was a software company, and in between idea of Women Lines was cooking. I was not able to find a media, a powerful media which is just talking about excellence in women. Media, to my understanding, was mostly used definitely to showcase the beauty of women, how to carry, what to wear, how to do makeup, certain things which are considered for the looks and other stuff. And definitely social media is there where women are using it mostly for entertainment, mostly for connection or showcasing something. But diving throughout my entrepreneurial journey and how I transformed myself, I was 15 years back, and today what I am, it was totally done through digital media. I consider digital media as a very powerful tool which can be used for excellence in women across the globe. And now we are present. I mean, online digital media is reaching out across the globe in so many countries, and that too in interior part of the countries too. So why not we use the power of digital media to voice out the expertise of women? So here comes the Women Lines platform. We are having content from influencers about health, leadership, and business excellence. I'm running talk shows where I'm interviewing and showcasing successful women entrepreneurs and women professionals, sharing their secrets, how they have achieved success, with the intention that if they can achieve success in their life, why not other women? So it's a media hub. We are present on 8 social media platforms. We are providing those marketing services to products and services which need to reach out to that niche women crowd. And I really want to be the number one magazine in the world, because if media is used powerfully, and my mission is to create as many women leaders, we can create magic on this planet.
Yeah, and that is wonderfully said as well. And I'm curious because I think in any story, especially like an entrepreneur story, it's certainly not all it's not it's not all victories. There's also a certain amount of obstacles. There is probably as many valleys as there are peaks. So did you get any pushback when you were trying to put together this project? Because you mentioned a lot of the media that was out there. It was mostly, I guess you could say, women's aesthetics. Maybe it was more like fashion. Maybe it was more like makeup. Maybe it was like more things that people, you could say, maybe traditionally view when it comes to content involving let's say women in media, fashion, makeup, maybe celebrity news and stuff like that. So I would imagine if you're opening with like women in tech, women in finance, women in kind of women essentially doing business generally speaking, was there kind of like like I said, pushback, whether it's life obstacles, whether it was people, things like that.
Certainly, because when I say online magazine, and initially it was very hard for people to digest, like who is reading magazine present time, because
Sure,
everybody is overwhelmed with slowly things are changing. There's so much content already that who will be reading a magazine. Because that
sure,
was an experiment, because I wanted to experiment with the video. My magazine is mostly video oriented. We are sharing videos from experts, and I'm interviewing. So short videos are creating lots of impact. So when I got this challenge and people were questioning about like how long it will work, but believe me, the journey was amazing, because when I started reaching out across the globe, different countries, from my desk, I am interviewing, I am reaching out to women who is sitting in Africa, who is sitting in Australia, America, UK, India, Singapore
yeah,
itself. I'm interviewing people, and to other many other countries. I started getting emails where women themselves wanted to share their own personal story through their media release about their business, or they wanted to share some thought. I was amazed with the power of media, because this is something which I can bring women under one umbrella from across the globe, because we all are same. That idea, that understanding that definitely the races are different, but we are human, and human as a women, we are having same challenges, same problems, same medical issues, same points which we are not able to comprehend or understand in terms of as a business women. Then I thought, ki, wow, it's something which is common across the globe. Then it can be, the solution can be provided under one platform, and amazing things can be done, collaborations can be done. And then magic started happening. I started collaborating with other organizations. I started getting emails. I started getting invitation as a speaker. So challenges definitely were there in the beginning. People were
right,
questioning about the existence, how long it will work. But I educated myself. I learned how to use the power of the digital content in terms of right SEO, right hashtags,
sure,
keywords, the magic of keywords. Once you are aware about how to use that digital content in your favor, believe me, your online presence, like we are offering the service also, grow your online presence with Women Lines. It will help you to create a niche for yourself and brand yourself more powerful way.
yeah. And very well said as well. And it certainly makes a tremendous amount of sense. And when you first put this together, what were some of the first, you could say, stories or coverage you were doing? What was your starting point? Because I would imagine, I think if you're doing, I guess you could say, various stories, various coverage on whether individuals, groups, or companies, that can be like a very wide net. And also, you're based out of Singapore, so clearly there's a lot of great business and commerce that goes through and comes from Singapore to begin with. So where was the starting point for you to kind of, I guess you could say, narrow the vision and kind of find
Yes.
a good spot to start getting momentum from?
Wow, I'm remembering the beautiful incidents which happened few years back. So when I was starting this magazine in terms of content, and because I was not prepared to create a video portal where I'm interviewing live, I mean recording over Zoom and sharing across, and then talking to women across the globe. So it has to start with Singapore first. So it started
Right.
with event of a friend, a very close friend. That time she was organizing an event for students for some speaking skills, some event was there. And from there, when I presented this idea to her, she said and she supported me, it's a powerful idea. And it started from there. I recorded her interview first. She wrote a book. I recorded her interview about that book, why that book is important. So then Books for Excellence show came into light at Womenlines. So the idea started definitely from Singapore because I already was running a blog. So as I told you, the idea was cooking in between. Womenlines was like a personal diary for me throughout 15 years. I used to write just any incidents which I happened in my life and it inspired me, or I read a book, I just reviewed it in my mags. I mean, that time I just called it a blog. I just wrote about it. I attended any workshop, I listed out what I learned and I just published it. So
Right.
that was there already. But idea of magazine happened 3.5 years back. And then when I was putting my full energy and full time into this, then when this event happened, and then the idea started clicking, I started taking live interviews first in Singapore around my network, women entrepreneurs I used to meet. I started recording with them, and slowly I realized the power of internet. And Zoom came in, and COVID happened. I was not allowed to go out. I think now I connect the dots. It's easy to say that challenges come, but if you think about the solution, you will get amazing solutions. Like, I reached out globally during the COVID time only. And today I'm so happy to connect with amazing women across the globe.
That's wonderful. And when putting together, your strategy, obviously you're competing against all different types of internet traffic. You're competing against algorithms that are out there and things like that. So, I cannot, I guess you could say, I cannot emphasize greater the importance of even certain hashtags when you're putting together content. So how did you determine, as far as your first strategy, whether it's the hashtags, whether it's reels, like what did you find that was very effective when first putting this together? Like, was reels getting you more attention? Was certain blogging articles getting you more attention? Was even I don't know, funny memes. People will do as well, funnier, like witty memes, or even like the motivational or inspirational type of memes. Like, what type of content was kind of first getting you, that you could say, that greater audience?
Oh, the digital world has changed. Every now, as I'm saying, it's my third year, and then started with the content in the forms of articles only because
Okay.
I problem was that many women were not ready to speak initially for the content part. For interview part, it was okay; they were ready to give their interview. But what I was
Right.
asking, why don't you just speak about the content what you're writing, and it will help you in your branding. So that challenge, it started from that. And then when I experimented what's working more for me from the beginning, so I observed that videos are getting better analytics because I started focusing. And as I narrowed down the time, because initially I used to interview for a long time, and then when I shortened the video interview timing for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I will say ideally 10 minutes interview or 12 minutes interview was getting better analytics. Because as COVID period happened, everybody online, that attention span was so less. So people really wanted in short the content in terms of how you're presenting.
Right.
So after all experiments, this was decided by the team, and we observed that videos are the best way to present the idea, and how smart you are, how creative you are in presenting it.
Yeah.
And as we experimented around all the social media, Facebook is having different requirement in terms of you can benefit through the ad campaigns through Facebook.
Right.
LinkedIn is a professional network where you can grow professional network globally, and those
Right.
are serious people who are ready to do serious business with you. Then Insta is happening now. I will strongly suggest Insta because the reel is a powerful source where you can present your idea in a short form, fast, and it can reach out to better crowd, it can reach out to higher number of people, because I think Insta is really happening in present times. So
Yeah.
other places, we are on Pinterest is there where photographs are working. So we are putting up ideas how to get, we are getting around 12,000 to 14,000 views monthly over
Right.
Pinterest. So all social media are different. YouTube is having different process. It is
For
having
sure.
different experiment. And being a solopreneur, the challenge for me was to give attention equally to all the media. Because where you will put your interest, because it every media requires time, every media requires that learning. I was not
Right.
having background of digital marketing. So I started doing courses. Singapore is really happening in terms of providing that ecosystem. And we have the system of getting, if you are a local here and you have certain matches with the country rules, you can avail the courses in very subsidized form. So I started educating myself by enrolling to those courses, and I did a digital marketing course. I'm going to do certain other courses in near future. So what I thought, that until and unless you are not making yourself educated about what's real happening in present times in terms of digital world, you cannot survive, because it's changing like something. Every second week there is some new technology, some new analytics, some new algorithm by Google, and you are lost in the crowd. So it is very competitive world, and you
Right.
have to keep yourself educating. Then I think that's the way to survive.
Right. And one of the very interesting, fascinating things I found is this accolade of you and your company, 36 in the top 60 women's online magazine globally. So, tell us all about that accomplishment, and maybe some of the events that led up to that, because that is quite an accomplishment, to say the very least.
Correct. 36, and now we are just moving between 36 to 40, 42, something ups and downs, because the
Sure.
numbers are changing every day. But it's a top
Right.
60, and it
Yeah,
has been
it's very good.
continuous 2 years journey. So I'm proud to say that we are there, and we are coming up on the first page of Google sometimes. If you write women's online magazines, Women Lines, today I checked, it was on the first page of Google. So what I can say now, after or throughout my 3 years plus journey, that I think the continuous presence is the key in the digital world. The persistency and the consistency, like you have to be consistent with your presence.
Sure.
Whatever the scene is there, maybe your analytics are not going up, maybe the challenges are there, because when you're bootstrapping, when you are not putting up much you're not investing in the marketing part, right? Because digital media is something which requires marketing. And if you are dependent on the organic growth, it takes time to build up. But here
Sure.
is Women Lines, which is standing on the basis of organic growth. Believe me, I have hardly put any investment for the marketing part. It has been organic, but it has been a learning journey. And I can assure that if you are consistent with your engagement with others, with your showing your face, keep writing, keep engaging, keep showing the content every day, it
Right.
helps in connecting all and taking you further up in the digital world. So that's why I'm always asking women entrepreneurs and women professionals, start branding yourself, voice out your expertise. Welcome at Women Lines. Share your content, video articles. We will market your content. We'll market about your business, about your work, because so many people are there online. The Statista figures
Sure.
are amazing. Every year, the family is growing. We
Right.
have to show our presence in online world.
This is very well said, and I want to ask you a few questions about growth. Organic growth in particular. It seems to me like this: organic growth seems to be the most sustainable strategy when building
Correct.
your brand. But I will say, and from what appears to me, it seems like there is a significant amount of, you could say, uh, enterprisers that don't want to take that route. I mean, you hear about people buying bots. You hear about people using pods, so to say, to build that audience. Can you talk about what are some of the disadvantages of trying to go that route? Because I'll tell you this: organic growth, it seems to be one of those things. It's hard to get the ball rolling, but once you kind of do get the ball rolling, it's very, very powerful, and it's very, very long lasting, so to say. And anecdotally speaking, I've also seen projects which have had great marketing at the front end, but I've also seen them peter and dwindle out very, very fast. So I was, like I said, I was wondering if you could provide some wisdom and kind of some insight, on why, let's say, organic growth is, you could say that it's probably the harder path, but it's probably the worthwhile one too.
Definitely, I so much agree with you, Adam, because as you mentioned, there are pods, people are part of groups where they are supporting each other and helping
Right.
each other to grow their numbers in likes, in terms of subscribers. But how long? And that audience is not a genuine audience. To my understanding, that is for short time, and it's like a bubble which will be not, it's not sustaining forever. So maybe initially, when you're
That's a very
not
good way of putting it.
having any presence, you can avail some help from the network to grow your presence, but that's not going to last forever. So we have to make sure that we are getting the genuine audience who are really interested in your content. And that
Right.
happens slowly when you are giving real value through your page. Why people will come on your page if there is no value and you are just depending on the likes and support of your pods friends to like it, to engage and to give comment?
Sure.
How long they will also do? So it's, and I think Google is very smart in terms of algorithm. It just catches suddenly and boom, you are down again.
Right.
And it's scary, right? I mean, you are putting your heart and soul in something, and if it is not having a strong base, so what I consider that organic marketing, organic way of growth gives you strong roots in the Google
That's a good way of
world,
putting
in
it.
the
Yeah.
media. Once you are enrooted strongly, whole world is there. And there are so
Right.
many other means, and you have to educate yourself that how you want to grow. You have to engage. LinkedIn's is the example. Like, it's the best place to have a very nice group of followers where you are communicating with them, you are engaging with them. You cannot expect just them to do. You have to put your time to engage. You have to put your time to comment on their content, what they are writing, and you have
Right.
to. And this way, Google will also understand what topics you are following, what's your interest over the period. So they are also very smart. I'm sure over LinkedIn, people have seen that new analytics dashboard, and it is showing your all presence, the comments, who is visiting your page, what
Sure.
profile they are having. Data is the new oil, and it's so powerful because that data shows itself, like which is the direction you are taking. So that only is possible if you are really growing in a genuine way, and organic growth, I think, is the best way to grow.
It's very, very well said. And I've heard this term thrown around called vanity metrics as well. And I think maybe this might be related to, I guess you could say pods, or maybe other, you could say slicker marketing tactics. But would it be fair to say that perhaps the quality of the audience is probably just as important, maybe if not more important than the numbers as well? Because I feel like we're going through a certain period like this right now. I think maybe earlier in time, seeing the amount of likes and the amount of comments, I think, was automatically kind of a sign of success. I think as audiences have gotten more sophisticated over time, I get the impression that those numbers are not necessarily the only thing that make a brand, successful now. I think maybe there might be just greater awareness or knowledge and whatnot, as far as, okay, there are a lot of likes and comments, but who are these participants that are liking and commenting here? Are these other entrepreneurs, or these other professionals, or are these I don't know, questionable parties, or are these interested or biased parties, like, people getting paid to, like,
Correct.
comment and like and things like that?
So many things happening. I so much agree with you, Adam, because it's so confusing, the algorithm part, and then what the numbers show. Who is that real audience? We are not at all able to understand, and we are not at all able to segregate. So definitely numbers help in getting some leverage on growing your database, on growing your reach out and showing the visibility you're having.
Right.
But it cannot be a sole way, the single way to grow over digital media. So that's why it is, I strongly recommend the presence has to be there at other places also. And it
Right.
can be in form of just commenting over Quora. There is
Oh yeah.
SlideShare. You can be active on SlideShare. Reddit is there. It's all how you are managing your time and how you are showing your presence over all media, because definitely the backlinks help. Guest posting is a beautiful way where you can really show your presence through other pages where they
Right.
are having the genuine audience, and then they give you the backlink to your website. So I consider the backlink as a really powerful tool which really helps anybody to grow in an organic way and a very strong way. So definitely, as you say, I strongly agree with that. We cannot understand the detailed part, like who is the audience and is it worth. You can really make sure that they are the real audience you want to be.
Right.
But what I believe and I have followed throughout, like whatever niche you are following, you make sure that you are following those people who are related to your niche.
Right.
How I started, because I learned this from some webinar from my LinkedIn network, and it was a wonderful share by the person that once you start following those who are successful in your field, whether it is Instagram, whether it is LinkedIn, whether it's other pages, and Twitter is also the other media where you can
Right.
really grow your base and you can communicate and
Sure.
you can brand yourself with the right comments and the right tweets. So it all depends when you start engaging with the right audience in the terms of the influencers who have already achieved something. I think it all connects together and it helps you, and it's a positive way, it helps you in the growth.
Very well said. And another phenomenon I've seen, and I touched on this, is bots. Now, anecdotally speaking, I have seen some what I thought at the time were some very interesting, fast-moving projects. However, when it seemed like it was known that a lot of the, you could say, followers interaction came from bots, a lot of those projects kind of nosedive pretty fast. I think there was almost this sentiment where people kind of feel almost betrayed or deceived, so to say, when it looks like this project is going forward really fast, and then a lot of the you could say the community, they're not real, so to say. I kind of want to know what your thoughts are on that, because it is, and it still seems to be the case, a relatively common way or strategy for certain companies or certain projects to try to get that or build that community very, very fast on the front end.
Definitely, because that's the easiest way to start with if you want to grow your presence. And
Right.
numbers really grow very fast. People have done that. I also was part, I got the invitation to start in the beginning of my journey. And then it helped me to understand like there are people who are really doing good. So I took it to create awareness about that segment of people and entrepreneurs and professionals, that wow, what type of work they are doing. I mean,
Right.
getting connected to the top 10 influencers over LinkedIn was something amazing, and seeing them and observing their work, their strategy, that was learning lessons. So I took that section as inspiration for myself, and I started reading about them, observing their activities, how they are sharing, what they're writing. So I turned it over. Definitely, the number game was there, and I was scared. What if I, right now it is working, and later nobody's there? There's nothing you are having. It has
Right.
to be a genuine database who is really interested in your content. I repeat again, that genuinity and authenticity is the power of any page. Believe me,
Right.
what value you're giving, what intention you're having, and how you're engaging with everybody. And they're coming back on your page. So Google Analytics show everything. My website is the main page for me. So whenever I see my Google Analytics and see the numbers through organic and bootstrapping, definitely I'm facing challenges for the funds, for getting it work done without the team. I take help from the freelancers. But the way it has grown, it is showing a steady graph, and that is only possible when you are doing authentic work with organic. So
Right.
pods can help in your networking. You will connect with the right people, maybe somebody who is inspirational, and you will learn from the person. So you have to take it that way, that you should be learning from
Right.
the other person, how they are doing and how they have achieved that level in life. So I
Right.
always took that in terms of learning from them and getting my awareness, broaden my awareness so that I can improve my page.
Very well said. And with your platform, do you feel that as a as a female entrepreneur, do you feel you have a special maybe obligation of sorts to keep your growth and keep your platform, kind of powered by organic growth, so to say? You've talked about like authenticity. talking about sincerity. It seems like these are very, very important themes, whether it's your platform or even just other platforms as well. But I guess you could I guess you could say your platform, let's say, being a mouthpiece and being a portal in many ways for women leaders to come together, share their stories, and learn. Do you feel there is a special obligation to keep this growth and keep this trajectory as organic as possible?
Definitely, I want to maintain that authenticity and value. But the business segment, when I work in a team and I get the freelancers and I learn from them, that definitely there are the strategies how you can market the page better way,
Sure.
not getting into something which is going to harm your page analytics later. So I will be going, and it's in my strategy. Like Facebook works only through ad campaigns, right? If you
Right.
are not marketing ad, you're not investing there, you are nowhere on Facebook. That we have
Right.
also observed throughout our journey.
Right.
Initially, we were getting the views amazingly without any marketing, but I think Mark Zuckerberg understood at the right time, and he just stopped
Yeah.
all the
It's a good
freebies.
strategy. Yeah.
It was for all the entrepreneurs, and then we all had to put some money to get the page up and to get the likes so that it's getting visibility. So it has to be strategized as per your budget. Definitely, uh, Facebook ad campaigns works like that. Now we have TikTok also, and now we have
Right.
Insta also. So all are together, and then it's all smart. Your smartness when you are putting the marketing campaign, maybe at some right uh, some so many days are there in days in a year, right? The celebration part is there. You do your marketing on those days, you get more visibility, and how much amount you're putting in that also depends upon your budget, right? So
Right.
as you are saying, obligation is there because that is my core, my heart is there, that I want to make sure that I'm not betraying my audience, I'm not getting some virtual assistant to put comments on my behalf. If I am engaging with my audience, it's me myself. I'm not asking any virtual assistant to do my job, because then the
Right.
authenticity is not there, right? Somebody else is communicating on your behalf. That's not original.
Right.
So I
Absolutely.
make sure I am walking both paths, the business aspect, because without business you cannot grow. You have to strategize your marketing strategies, and you have to see how the page is growing so that we get business. But then the authenticity is very close to my heart, and as long I can, I've definitely, I'm sure that I'm going for it forever. Like I will make sure that I'm doing it myself in my original face
Right.
and original presence.
That's great. And to my follow-up question, there is this quote, you can't be all things to all people. So when you have a platform like this, obviously audience is very important. Quality control is very important as far as your audience. So what I'm wondering is, for this kind of platform, are there, you could say, audiences or participants you kind of have to say no or even exclude, so to say, because I would say, like I would say, quality control is very important. So, when it comes to, this platform, are there, you could say, women participants that you kind of have to say no to? Or are there audiences that you kind of have to avoid when putting this together? Because, there's either a lot of trolls or just kind of a lot of malicious actors out there, or maybe there's audiences you don't want to, interact with as far as your platform. So I'll give you an example. When it comes to, let's say, what I do on this show, I do not want people who are promoting these pump and dump type of coins to come onto the show for many, many reasons. Primarily, people get hurt from those type of things, so to say. I don't ever want to give a platform to individuals who are promoting, let's say, a very, very, questionable, dubious type of project, and then based on, let's say, an interview like this, go ahead and try to buy that. That is a platform I do not want to give to, somebody, especially when it comes to blockchain and cryptocurrency, especially as a space that in many ways shows great promise, but also has a fair amount of controversy, to it as well. And I think part of it comes down to the messaging and things like that. So I'm wondering, in your case,
Yeah.
like, would there, let's say, be, and I don't mean this in disparaging, would there, let's say, be like a Kim Kardashian type of figure that you would stay away from for different reasons? Now, for some audiences, they may like that, but let's say biotech might not want that figure, to, let's say, be a brand in that space? Like, for instance, like are there situations or contexts where you kind of have to say thank you but no thank you?
Definitely, for both audience, my B2B and B2C, I had experiences, and I will give you example the shows I'm running. I'm running two shows at present, which is the Stellar Entrepreneur Show, and we
Right.
have Accomplished Professional Show. So in that, the panel decides. We decide whom to interview. We observe the women entrepreneurs and women professionals around, reach out to them, and when we see the journey has been really authentic, they have really done some work on ground level, and then they have reached certain position. I love to showcase their work on my page, interview them, and share their secrets about their success. But I started getting emails where women entrepreneurs and professionals wanted to be interviewed just for the sake of it, to show their presence on a page that, yeah, they have been interviewed by Women Lines.
I see
And
what you
when I
mean. Yeah.
searched about them, and it was not genuine, and it was not something that they have put their heart and soul, or it was not a long journey, it was 2 to 3 years entrepreneurial journey. And I said, hello. I mean, I cannot interview somebody with such a less experience and then portray
Right.
them as a successful entrepreneur. Come on, this is a base, this is a page where I am showcasing work, the real entrepreneurs and professionals who have achieved something in real in life. So at that time, those emails I had to say no, because that I asked them, you come and take the service from us, because then I will brand you and then you can talk about your product or service
I
yourself.
see what you mean.
For the interview, for the show, we are very particular whom we are selecting and whom we are showcasing, because that's something which we are showcasing to other women across the globe, that they have achieved something in life. Same with for B2B, I got started getting emails for who want to get the backlinks from the magazine for their product or
Right.
service, and the product is not good, right? There are all sorts of products in the market, and we don't want to link to every product. So then I have to say no to them, that whatever price you are ready to pay, but I'm not interested, because I don't want to connect women lines to such brand or such product. So it's okay to say no.
Yeah, and by the way, I think those are very great points that you raised. So, I guess you could say you probably encounter a fair amount of, let's say, fame seekers or showboaters who really want to leverage your platform,
Right.
and only that, just to build their audience, which is either undefined or almost non-existent at that point.
Very true. So that's not at women lines. So we are particular about the selection whom we are selecting to showcase.
Yeah. And speaking of selection, as you and many would have, I'm sure you have your own process as far
Yeah.
as which leaders you want to provide visibility in an audience to. So could you talk about some of those, you could say requirements, some of those preferences that you have when you're going to, highlight a, women leader on your platform as far as accomplishment or education or experience. Can you talk about some of those requirements on your end?
Definitely. Nowadays, we are having so many women, enterprising women around who are doing amazing work. And then over LinkedIn, when I come across the profiles, I what strikes me, suddenly somebody is coming up with some award, or somebody has written a book. Book writing is something which is happening only once you start getting experience in life, right? Nobody writes a
Right.
book in the initial part of life. So those things are
Right.
fact. I start exploring that profile and understand better what they have done in life. So see, running a business is something which is not easy. For
Sure.
entrepreneurship, I have always said, I read somewhere that to be an entrepreneur is like walking in a park, but it is like a Jurassic Park where dinosaurs keep coming, and you
That's
have
a good
to
way of
just
putting it.
keep
Yeah. Yeah.
crossing the.
I like that.
Yes, you have to keep crossing those dinosaurs and keep moving. So that journey can be only done if you are resilient, if you are having that discipline, if you are having that inner strength, then only you can achieve it. Through the experience, through the portrayal you have done on the page, you can understand what the person has achieved. I mean, now people are now sharing about their achievements or LinkedIn, or they are at times I'm getting the media releases, so I inquire about the person, I read more about the person, and
Right.
then I reach out to the person, and then I fix the time for the interview.
Very yeah, and that's very insightful. And like I said, I would imagine, and I know everybody has their own process, and certainly writing a book is a good milestone. But like you said, that's also after I think a certain level and a certain amount of experience. Over time. I'll tell you this: I would not be writing a book at 17 years old. I'm 37. Certainly I would have a lot more to share now.
No,
Than than
I
back then, so to say. So I totally, I totally, get that for sure. And as far as like, the experience, um, what type of like life experience and professional experience do you appreciate? Like when you have, somebody come onto your platform, because I think a lot of times when it comes to entrepreneurs, especially ones that have achieved a certain level of success, a lot of times people think that, okay, their life is perfect, everything just happened to go well. But then you actually speak to them, it's like, oh, I had 5 failed startups or 6 failed projects before I reached this point as well. Like, are those the kind of stories you like to talk and focus on? I feel a lot of people can connect to that. In fact,
I love to explore those stories, Adam, because when you are communicating with an entrepreneur and you come to know in deep how the journey has been, then you really understand. So what inspires me that how the person has developed those skills which she was not having.
right,
See, having a skill already and then you're working upon it and you're growing something, definitely it's incredible and we appreciate. But now there are women entrepreneurs who have that passion, but they don't
right,
have that skill. So they, suppose the latest, the person I have interviewed, she was not
right,
having those skills, but she worked upon those skills because she was particular that she has to establish that venture on her own. So
right.
she first educated herself, she gathered that knowledge. See, creating a business is just like having a baby. The business is just
Oh
a
yeah,
baby, for you, and you are growing every part with passion. So that requires educating yourself first for what is missing in your knowledge, and
very good
then
way to put it. Yeah,
acquiring those skills, networking skills, communication skills. Nobody's perfect. Everybody's having their own limitations. So we have to first understand and improve ourselves as an entrepreneur, keep growing ourselves. So those stories inspire me a lot, where they have nurtured themselves to reach that level with time. It takes time. It's not an easy journey. And when they share how they survived those periods when they were down, so I love to engage on those points and what helped them to go across that boundary, how they came out of that comfort zone. Because as a woman, it is said they really easily get down, they sulk, and they stop working upon themselves. I want to showcase those stories who have really worked upon themselves and pushed themselves beyond that boundary, and they have achieved that success. So those stories inspire me a lot.
that's awesome. And I wanted to know a little bit about the Singapore ecosystem. So, my feeling is this: I think here in the U.S., when there's a lot of when there's coverage on things, it tends to be an echo chamber. And I think a lot of times, if it's events happening outside of the United States, it's a very narrow lens. For me on my show, I like to bring in as many guests, as many entrepreneurs, as many thought leaders from different parts of the world as possible, because I think those perspectives are additional lenses that give us insight and give us just greater visibility into either trends and kind of what's coming on the horizon. If you could perhaps articulate this, what is very special about Singapore? You see people from all over the world go to this, essentially this very small, you could say, city state of sorts.
Right.
And there seems to be so much creativity, so much liquidity, and you see these great projects come out to life. And I think Singapore has, I think has the most billionaires out of any area in the world. If you can kind of talk about that as far as your experience in Singapore, and perhaps the advantages that even that brings to, let's say, women leaders who, let's say, maybe if they're in the United States, maybe they're in Latin America, maybe they're in other parts of Asia, maybe there's a reason why they should perhaps look to exploring Singapore.
Definitely. Oh, I love this question because believe me, 15 years down the line now, I have transformed myself, and the credit goes to the ecosystem in Singapore. Uh, the inspiration I got, because I was having employee mindset before I landed in Singapore. I was having background of mass communications. I was working as a copy editor there, and then I was looking forward, maybe I will search for a job and settle down with a job, and then it will be growing. I will be reaching somewhere in life. But when I started going around and networking, so the first thing which was easy to do in Singapore was amazing events, maybe some sessions where just networking is happening, some inspirational talk is happening, and you are
Right.
sitting listening to it, and then you are networking around, and then you are meeting people who are already doing something interesting, and they're ready to help you. So that was something which ignited my entrepreneurial spirit, that why not me? There's a chance. And my
Right.
three ventures were in the partnership. So what attracted me, it was so comfortable to register my business in Singapore. It was very easy from home. I was able to register my company on going online and doing the process in a very short time. So structure is beautiful. Singapore government has structured out everything wonderfully.
Right.
They are very organized in their system. They are very honest in their system. People are hardworking, and hardly I find any corruption here. Everything is systematic. Whatever process you have to follow, you don't have to wait for everything. If it the wait is required, that specific time you will be told that it will take such amount of time, and it will happen after that time. You don't have to wait beyond that. So I was in love of the structure, which was so organized, and it was easy to manage, because otherwise you lose your patience, right? You're
Right.
waiting, and then it's not happening, and then you are not having the right network. So I started tapping first the network around, which started with my own community, because when you land and you have your own network, you grow
Right.
in that community first, and then you go, as you grow as an entrepreneur, you start venturing outside. So when I had my third venture, which was a startup, it was a software company, and we were developing an app, and then it was incubated in a Singapore Management University here. That was an eye opener. So the incubation centers in universities in Singapore, plus the way they groom you, the way they the mentors are there, and they help you to understand the ecosystem of the startup better way. They introduce you to the investors team,
Right.
and that really changed my mindset. I learned a lot, and Singapore is happening because the system is good, city is safe. As a woman, I
Right.
feel safe. I don't think twice if I'm coming late. I don't have to think twice hiring a cab and coming back to home. It's midnight, beyond midnight. So that keeps me relaxed, that okay, all these factors are not stressing me. My day is balanced.
Right.
And so the networking part, the safety part, the taxation is not that big. I mean, it's easily structured for all. They have given many benefits for the
Right.
startups who are having the startups here. The foreigners who are coming, they can easily set up their businesses with the help of a local director. There are rules and regulations for that. So you can follow that step by step, and you can establish your business here.
Right.
So, in a way, I say they really pamper people here, and they really pamper entrepreneurs also here. It's upon you how you are reaching the right segment where you can avail that help. So, it's your power, your capability, how you are pushing your boundaries to go to the right segment of the people and the governments, because there are people to help you and guide you, definitely. So, I can
Right.
assure that it's a really wonderful place to set up a business.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And these are some of the things that I also hear about, Singapore as well. And I certainly will very likely be going there in the very near future. But one of the things I hear that it is very, very clean there. And I
Very,
think I
yeah.
think cleanliness in particular is a reflection of, you could say, maybe the broader culture. I've also read that everything seems to run on time, and kind of like you said it, how it's highly organized and almost highly systematic, and it seems like the processes are very, very efficient. So there's no wasted time, there's no delays. I think that makes people more relaxed, and I think that also it helps people make better use of their time. And as far as female colleagues of mine, they've mentioned the same thing as you, is that it's safe there any time of day. This could be, late in the night, even walking virtually anywhere. There's none of this kind of fear that something might happen, or you're walking into the bad area, or there's dubious actors. I've heard consistently it is extremely safe. Unfortunately, you can't just walk anywhere any time of the day in, let's say, Los Angeles, or unfortunately even New York City now. That's not the case. But I have heard in Singapore, it is extremely safe, and you could say,
Right.
I think if it is very very safe, I think that will definitely also encourage women entrepreneurs to come there. Listen,
Very,
life comes at you in different degrees. You're going to have to work, either short days, you might have to work very long days, and sometimes, if you need to get something done, you're going to need to work. Sometimes you have to work through the entire night. Like I'll even me, like if I have a good, you could say, momentum or a good flow, I don't really want to stop that for the most part unless I have to eat or something like that. So I'll work till like 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning to get it done and to get it done the way I want to get it done, so to say. So I don't think I'm unique here, but I feel that, let's say if this is anybody, if you're going to work on a project and you're going somewhere, the fact that it is universally safe, I think that's a very very big factor for
very
for people, to say the
I
least.
will add on one more point that people are really very loving here and they're ready to accept people from other countries. So you don't feel alien in a known country when you
Yeah,
are having the comfort that you can easily approach anybody and get the help.
yeah,
And the person is lovingly ready to help you to the extent that they really call you and ask you like if there's a problem and you need any other help. So all
right.
these small small things help in building up connection and give you the comfort level that things can be done and it's about your effort how you are taking it further.
Right. And as far as being business friendly, it seems like in Singapore, and this is, things that I receive as feedback from, friends and colleagues, um, there seems to be a very generous, you could say, business tax and business incentive structure there. So it seems like a very liquid place,
Very,
to say the very least, which uh, I think especially in the United States and Europe, it's becoming less and less the case, over time for various, you could say, geopolitical and economic reasons.
yeah, that's why, as they say, there's a tax-friendly country in terms of for startups. They have and plus the grants. I forgot to mention the grants because
Right,
grants is another segment which Singapore government has really structured out very well. For the first-time founders, they have a special SG founder grant, and then there are certain many other types of grants for the technology for innovation. They have segmented it very nicely, and there are websites like SG Enterprise and Spring where they have mentioned listed it out, and they have people whom you can approach and you can book an appointment and understand things better. So those grants, we got the grant in the last venture, and it really helped us to grow the base for our app, and it was a big support from the government.
right. And as a side question to that, and by the way, I think I have heard of the grants, but I do appreciate that you providing more light on that, because I can imagine if that was the case elsewhere, like I think you'd be encouraging so many more startups, so many more businesses, and you could almost say incentivizing more people to take those risks and putting together, great ideas. One of the questions I wanted to ask is, how is Singapore handling the inflation situation? Because I'm sure, as you know, right now, I think between COVID and the war in Ukraine and many other reasons, there is a very very serious inflation problem in the United States and in Europe. But I will say, I virtually never hear about Singapore, not at all actually, when it comes to that when it comes to that issue. So I take it, is it a non-issue there, or is it a very very small issue? It seems like Singapore's momentum hasn't stopped. This is just based on my colleagues who go back and forth there frequently, and other projects and other things that I hear from people.
Inflation in terms of rising prices is definitely an issue. And when you read newspapers, there are forums where we have the discussions like the prices for the general food items are increasing and challenges are there to sustain in that particular salary. And recently there was a news that the nurses segment is leaving the jobs because of exhaustion and the salary issue. So all
Got it.
these topics are arising definitely, but I think from the beginning, like throughout the COVID time, Singapore government structured out the helping part in that way, like in terms of giving out vouchers to people here, in terms
Right.
of, for example, the test kits. The government has really delivered the test kits, the COVID test kits, within the mailbox of all people houses, and
Yeah.
everybody has received that kit. And there were 8 test kits in the kit, and it was provided free to us. It was delivered at our home. Same way
Right.
there was. There was cash vouchers, there were vouchers for all the places where you can use the vouchers in discounted your restaurants for food courts here in Singapore, because the
Right,
food court group was impacted a lot because people were not going to food courts to enjoy food because of COVID, and they were
right,
taking precautions. So once things started getting normal, they started distributing vouchers so that people are getting that incentive, like you go and use the voucher and have your dinner or whatever you want to have. So I think they planned it out that ways. Whenever the challenges came in between, they gave some benefit in terms of cash initial part when this was huge. It
right.
was a problem and people were facing those challenges where jobs were going and people were not able to go out, and 2 3 months were really crazy. They really provided, they got the money transferred in the accounts and people were getting benefit of the cash amount from the government, though okay,
Wow.
not big, but still some amount also helps you, right? Whenever, if you're in challenge, and those people who were in real challenging situation, that helped them a lot. Same way for tourism, there was a beautiful, there were vouchers to get the discount for your tickets. So government delivered the vouchers for the tourism part, and we used it to go around places. And we got some temptation. Let's use the voucher and go visit the place again
Sure.
and have some family time after COVID. So definitely inflation is there, and the cost of living is quite high in Singapore. It's not
Right,
easy, but such support in between in terms of these vouchers and cash out little amount and discounted rates for certain products and services really help people here.
yeah, and I have to say, Singapore definitely seems like a very great place for very hardworking, industrious, ambitious people. And it seems like as much as a country can give you, it seems like it gives you a fair shot to give it your best as far as what you're trying to do. And I think for most people, I think that's all they want is a fair shot. And like I said, I hear mostly, if not only, great things about Singapore when it comes to essentially bringing life to these great ideas. And I like the analogy you made before. Starting a business like a startup, it is like having a baby. It's like having a newborn. I have a 5-year-old son, so I can certainly attest to some of the similarities there between, let's say, running a business and also having a child. You do have to deal with the peaks and valleys, and every child has their own personality. They
Very
each
true.
have their own strengths. They each have their own you could say issues to deal with. That's just life. So, if you could talk about what were some of the greatest successes that you've experienced so far when putting this project together, really from the beginning, from its inception to now, what were some of the biggest successes? What were some of the clear markers that told you, okay, this is going to work? You know, things like that.
Wow, I love this question. So becoming a speaker in my life, I never thought about. So, because of Women Lines, I pushed myself, and courtesy to all these influencers and coaches, I attended in Singapore the sessions, which helped me a lot. So that was something which helped me to get clarity about women lives bigger way once I started speaking about women lives as a speaker, and I
Right,
started getting invitation to talk about, because my key topic is how to use digital media to empower women globally. That's my
right,
passionate topic, which I love to speak anywhere. So as I started building up my profile as a speaker, so that was something, it showed me like I'm getting feedback in a positive way when I am delivering my talks. And
right,
people are accepting the idea that there is a necessity of one media only talking about only excellence for women. What can help women to grow as a leader? What can help women to be a healthy version of herself? Right?
right,
What can help women entrepreneurs to grow her business? What things she requires? What knowledge she requires? So whole day I want to deliver that content in terms of video, article, talks, interviews, so that it can really empower women with the right mindset and the right knowledge. So that assured me when I started getting positive feedback and people loved my talks and they assured me that this is a wonderful idea you're working upon. Keep growing it, keep working upon it. That helped me to keep my faith in myself and have the bigger vision, like this can grow big at the right time with the
right,
right team. So I am working slowly, slowly, taking one step at a time, facing up all the challenges, ups and downs, but still we are here and we are growing in the list. So yeah, the speaker part really helped me a lot to gain my
Yeah.
faith and get the faith from my community too.
And I'm sure it showed you that people were really starting to have a lot of faith and trust in, things that you're advocating and, things that you're speaking about. And I think that's very, very, important. And I do believe that goes back to, I think, some of the greater themes you were speaking of as far as, authenticity and sincerity. And, as to the follow up question, what were some of the biggest obstacles that came up? What were some of the biggest obstacles that, let's say, it made you question, is this going to work? Am I going in the right direction? Is there maybe something else I should be doing in this space? Like, were there certain moments where you're kind of like, this could either make or break you right now?
Definitely. As I said, dinosaurs, the entrepreneurial journey is full of dinosaurs, and these
Right,
dinosaurs keep coming in between. So, we also had the challenge of sustenance, how to continue because uh, the digital platform was getting crowded, right? Because once this COVID happened and then everybody was online, so catching up the eyeballs was not that easy. You have to be
right,
really very creative, very innovative to catch the eyeballs. So, people spend time on your page and they like your page and they subscribe to your page. So definitely there were so many phases, and still phases come up and down that you feel, you question like, will it last? How long it will last? But then I get back to the power of intention. There's a book also, if I'm not wrong, and there's a talk also, that power of intention and power of value helps a lot in strengthening that faith in the idea which you're having. And again, I don't know, it happens. Some down period comes and magic happens. You get some email of some interest, or some client you get, or some analytics start working and the numbers start rising.
right,
So now, throughout 3 years, I have faced such magic moments, so many in my life, that I
right.
assure that that self faith is the biggest thing which can you can
Yeah,
gift yourself to keep going.
right.
Because once that faith breaks, it's very difficult to grow. So, as a nourishment, every day you have to take that motivational dose for yourself to keep that self faith growing up.
And that's a very good point. And in fact, I don't think I've necessarily heard it expressed in the way that you stated. And faith is very, very important. I think that's actually the best word to put it. I think in some ways it's better than, let's say, confidence. And I think confidence tends to be a, very common word that's thrown around. But, faith is kind of going to be the bedrock that kind of keeps you stable and solid when the things get bad. I think it's very easy. I think confidence, and it's good to have. I think you should always have it, but that could be kind of like a seesaw, and that could be based on how conditions are at the time.
Right.
And I think almost confidence can relate to more tangible events going on. So when things are seemingly good, that's easy to kind of,
Yeah,
enhance. When things are kind of going shitty, pardon my French, it's kind of easy to dwindle. Having faith, it seems to be an anchor for better or for worse,
very true.
and it seems to be something that kind of keeps you right down the center. So I think that's a very very good way of putting it. And I'm a huge history nerd, so I think throughout ancient history, whether it's whether it's the Greeks and Romans or the Dark Ages in Europe, or whether it's let's say ancient India and East Asia and those philosophies, there is a word across all of those cultures for faith. It's expressed a little bit differently, but there is something, a word or a theme like faith, that is separate from per se just having confidence, so to say. And I think that is something that could be universally understood by people. And I think you bringing that up, I think that is great, so to say. I think maybe confidence, let's say, is more like the racing horse, so to say you know
Correct.
but maybe faith is the anchor that keeps you stable and that keeps you
Yeah.
grounded, for whether let's say whether the sea is very volatile and violent, or whether the waters are calm. So I really do like the fact that you brought that up. And as a final question, what advice would you give to soon to be future entrepreneurs out there, especially women entrepreneurs? I think we may be in 2022, but there are different issues in different parts of the world that still very, very much exist. Whether they're political, whether they're cultural, in fact, whether they're even family issues as well. Like, for certain areas of the world and for certain issues, women do face and encounter a unique set of issues, in this world. So, and those things could probably only be best understood by another woman who's walked the path, who's gone to and put together a substantial project where there's a lot on the line, there's a lot of risk, but there's also potentially great success down the line.
Good question. Definitely, I will love to share a message to all those wannabe women entrepreneurs, or they have started, they're in the beginning. Keep working upon your self growth. The personal excellence, the personal growth has to be there for every women entrepreneur to sustain in this field. The degree only will not help you in the long run. The knowledge has to be there. The degree helps you in applying that knowledge in
Right.
your business. But believe me, this journey is full of ups and downs. For that, you have to have that personality. You have to work upon self growth, self personality, which can face those challenges. And you are resilient and you are not going back. You are keep moving up and you are following your dream. So every day, some time for personal growth has to be there by every woman. In my talks, I always say there are 1440 minutes in a day.
Mhm.
Just put 5 minutes for yourself, for your personal
Sure.
growth, journaling, meditating, whatever way you want to put for your personal growth. Put your mission, vision, goal, put your personal health in front of you, how you want to be a better version of your as a healthy person. Because once you start putting that time for your personal growth, you will be better placed to handle all the challenges in life.
That's very well said. I don't think I can add anything to that that is going to further enhance a lot of the great things that we covered. So, Charu, thank you very much for coming on to the show today. Thank you very much for sharing your journey and sharing your insights and wisdom as to your journey so far and to a lot of the success that you've experienced and also a lot of the leaders that you're trying to, cultivate. And I really do like the emphasis on the quality control, but also the mythology behind the way you're going about this. I think it's very clear to me you have a you have a very very nuanced but very logical way of going about this, and I think that's very important. And I think going into anything with a plan or preparation is key. I think some philosopher said this. Plans often go awry, but the planning and preparation itself is the most important. So it seems to me, even when things don't go exactly as planned, because you've prepared, it's already prepared you, so to say, for really the variables and turns and detours, that come about. So, like I said, Charu, thank you very much for coming on today. And I would suggest to anybody in the audience, please check out our platform, Womenlines. Check out our LinkedIn. It is an online magazine cultivating, enhancing, and promoting, women leaders. There's a lot of great things coming out in the world right now. During this era of time, I think despite the volatility and despite the chaos and confusion that the world is currently facing, there is a silver lining to this, and I think there's a lot of great leaders coming up the pike that I think you all should, keep eyes on, especially as far as women leaders. So again, Sharon, thank you very much for coming on. I'm
Thank you
very
so
much
much.
looking forward to seeing your continued success down the line, and of course, I'd love to have you come back on in a few months, and perhaps we can pick up our conversation from here.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you so much, Adam, for having me in your show. Thank you.
Thank
Best wishes.
you. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you later.